Hello and welcome to Steve's Backyard Bonsai. Today I'll be starting and hopefully completing all of the plantings of the Chinese elm trees in my Creative Bonsai Landscape Challenge entry, which is my impression of Central Park. So let's just get to it and we'll see how it goes. So as you can see, I've put the base layer of soil in the pot. I drilled one additional hole in here. The draining was okay, but it did puddle right there. So I put one more drainage hole in. I've also put a lip at the end of these two planting areas to give me a little more height, which I think I'll appreciate having done in the end. Moving on to the trees. Okay, I adjusted the angle so hopefully you could see it better. And as I said, I'm not going to try and salvage this pot. I think I'm just going to cut it away. I already broke the corners. The soil that I'll be using, and my soil bin is right here handy, is essentially the same soil mixture as this, which is a combination of turfus, perlite, some expanded haydite, which kind of adds a little bit too much weight, but it is compensated by the fact that I have a lot of perlite in the mix. So let's start combing this out gently and see what I've got. I'd like to separate the trees because they're not going in the same manner. There's some long roots happening down here. They've only been in this seed tray. This will be the second full season. I put it in the seed tray about this time last year. I think I mentioned that. If I didn't, I should have. And I really wanted them to mesh together because I didn't have my thoughts gelled in my head as how I was going to do this. I knew I would put it in a forest tray, and I knew I wanted a park planting. I didn't think it through. So when Candace from Bonsai Science challenged me in front of her growing audience, I saw that as an opportunity to really think this through and come up with something I can be proud of. And hopefully that you'll enjoy and maybe try to emulate, which would be incredible. All right, let's see, now that I can get my hands around the individual trees, what kind of chore this is going to be. And I'm going to try and keep as much of the weight as I can of the roots and the soil that it's around. Okay, here's the first one. I'm going to put it in another tray over here. Yeah, it's a black tray. I got to get it out of the sun. And you know what? Just going to put it in a bucket. I like to keep my buckets clean because that's what I collect rainwater in. This is the tree that I thought might go over one of those rocks. It's got quite the root system holding it. Where's that spatula? Thank you, my loving wife. The last thing I want to do is get aggressive. Okay. So the soil's in good condition. A few roots have made it their way out of the planting tray, seed tray. Oh my goodness. You're going to be doing some root pruning. Oh, yeah. Okay. Okay, though. I mean, they're healthy. That's good. One year. I knew they grew the roots quickly in here because they became very stable very quickly. So I've made the decision with that, except for the root over rock element, I'm probably not going to wire these in. You know, I think there's plenty to hold it down. Oh yeah, look at that. Wow. So this might be the ideal time to be doing this, which is really great. I worried about that. Going into the second bucket. Oh, you know, some of these have some nice radial roots. You know, I'm thinking in a park setting, maybe, you know, a fine nabari isn't so important as a mowed lawn might be. Look at the root on this one. What on earth am I going to do with that? Probably either redirect it down, cut it. Oh, it has such nice root endings there, but is that where I cut it before? Possibly. These were planted in 2019 and put in this pot this time last year. Oh, I'm repeating myself. Okay, that's all the trees. Let me get to the root work. I got to get set up, so I'll come back when I'm set up. I don't have my camera angles lined up so perfectly, but I hope you can see what I'm doing. I'll try and be careful how I show it to you. I'm trying to get the flattest root base that I possibly can. And Nigel Saunders, if you are watching, everything I learned, oh, the wind just picked up a seed tray and threw it against my greenhouse. Everything I know about root work, I've learned from you. So don't cringe if I'm doing something wrong. Yeah, you can. All right, there's some roots growing straight down here that I'm just going to take off. Actually, the first thing I think I'll do is just remove all the ridiculously long stuff. Stuff that absolutely has to come off. And will only be in our way as we work through this. All right, so this long root here is very flexible. I think I can redirect it down, and I believe I will do that. I can put it up against one of these sides, a front for this tree, if that is the front of my planting. I'm going to go with this as the front. You know what, this is too long, even with being able to redirect it. I think I can safely cut off the end and still have enough root to keep it alive. This one takes a strange turn. But if that's my root plane, this is where the knowledge comes in. I think that's okay. You know what? There are some root hairs further back. I just want to take it off. This one has a better root above it. I think I'm just going to take this big one right here, right off. Looks like it was a taproot that got turned around. Ooh, that had a lot. Oh, scary. All right. So that should be enough. Let me... I'm getting my tools wet. All right. I'm going to pick the 4 trees, 5, 6. Yeah, I'm going to pick the 4 trees that are going to go in the large area first. This is my next largest. Oh. This is what you get when you bury things a little deep. My root plane is way down here, and I don't know if I have the prettiest trunk anymore here. Can you see what I'm doing? All right, so this is going to be a pretty severe root chop. I hope these roots can sustain this tree. Maybe I don't do this all at once. All right, let me do what I did before and get rid of the ridiculous stuff. I say ridiculous stuff, but it's sustaining the tree so nicely. See the problem here? I hope you can see this. That would be a great root plane right there. But I got this whole Michigas right here that should... Let me just pare it down. Oh, I don't even know if I can. I think I can. I'm cutting life-saving chunks out of the bottom of this tree. but I don't want to expose that. So that's it for this tree. What else? Okay. Everything else is pretty flexible. This also will go in the main planting area. And I will be planting those first. Next largest tree is this one. They all seem to be suffering from the same malady. Should have done some root pruning mid-year. I had no idea they would produce so quickly. Okay, that one I think I can do some good things with. I don't want to speak too soon. Let me get in and look. You know, it makes me brave because I've watched so many of you have successful root operations. And yeah, you may hem and haw and clutch your pearls. But your trees live. So, shouldn't I be able to accomplish the same goals as everyone else? That's enough for this tree. Next largest tree is a toss-up, but I'm going with the one I have in my hand. It's for the good of the tree, right? In this case, it's for the good of the landscape. I was musing about how, with this landscape challenge, it's so much less about the tree than it is, well, at least it has been up until this point. Here's a big one going straight down. Another one going straight down. Cut that more. Sorry about my videography. I'm new at this. Okay. That's it for tree number 4. I'm going to turn off the camera. Keep these other trees moist, clean up a bit. Put the planting tray here and start arranging the first 4 trees. Okay, this is all set up with, I guess this is the front of the planting. I want it to be looking good from all sides, but hey, that works for me for the time being. Okay, tree number 1, which is this tree. I got to fit 4 in here. Now I got to do a much more severe root pruning than that. All right. Let me come back to you in just a little bit. about the sound in that last segment. My lavalier mic battery does not last very long, and I've got to figure something else out. So right now I'm speaking to you through the internal microphone in the iPad, and hopefully the sound is clear enough. These trees are pretty steady in there. I'm going to water them. Let me just wet the soil. Each one of these segments is separate, so I'm not that worried about water running into the other segments, but I want to get these watered. Not fully watered. Can you see how the water's pooling up on the walkway? I'm very pleased about that. I had to do a lot more root pruning than I had anticipated. So I want to make sure these trees have the best start they can have. All right, when I was going through the ingredients for my planting medium, my soil, I did not finish. It's turfus and perlite. Well, the water did run through on this side a little bit. That's okay, that's fine. Turfus, perlite, expanded hadeite, some fluorite, and some shredded pine bark and fir bark, the fines, the real small stuff. And that's all in here. So something in here is really holding water. Like I said, I had to root prune these more than I wanted to. So I got my fingers crossed. All right, let me come back when I'm ready to plant the other two on this side. I'll try and position them nicely. And tomorrow I'm going to be mucking this up. So I'm going to take the level down just a little bit to muck it up, and putting a top dressing on a la Candace from Bonsai Science, which is the shredded or ground moss, beautiful green moss, the velvety kind, mixed with sphagnum moss as a top dressing to hopefully get a lawn looking thing growing. Oh, trees, please live. All right, let me plant the other two trees, which are right here. You know, I haven't root pruned these yet at all. So let me move the camera so you can see what I'm doing. But I've got to bring these roots down quite a bit more to fit in the area. And this one has some pretty funky roots. Taking that piece off altogether. This piece off. This is pretty flat and nice and long and thin, which works great for the spot that I have it going in, which is right here. It'll be all right. This one's leaning a little bit, which is okay. I just have to have it leaning in the right direction. gonna have to put some stones on this one for sure. Now let me leave it like that for now. And get the other tree. Sorry, you're not gonna be looking at this tree. This is my smallest tree. But it's a pretty sad looking tree at the moment. And the idea here is that these trees are in a park. They were planted and will grow old together, which is really what I want to do. Grow old with these little trees. Let's see if I have these positioned in a good place from the front. I do. And remember, I said I had plans for this area and this area. So I'm going to be working on those plans and I'll reveal them to you when I know what I'm doing. Okay. The other thing I want to be careful of is that I want a smooth transition everywhere. I want, I don't want it to be a lumpy landscape. I want it to look like somebody runs a lawnmower over it regularly. You just put some soil there. Everything pretty straight? No. That needs to be. Brought over a bit. This looks good. I hoped it would, and it does. Let me get this little segment watered up. All right, so I have one more tree, and that's going here, partially on this rock, if I can make that happen. I just want these roots to cooperate, and it looks like they might. speak too soon. I think this root isn't going to help me at all. I want some long ones, but not this long. I'll tuck that under there. I can get in pretty far. In the end, this may not be the best idea. But I hope it is a good idea. Okay, so if I can tuck that root way in there, sit this up on here, this root's not going to help me. Two roots in there. This one down in here, as far in as I can get it. And this, just trimmed off shorter. And this trimmed off shorter. And that disappears, and that disappears. Sit this up here, crank this over so it's on top. Of the rock. Yeah, I don't know about this, but I'm going to try and make it work. All right. I've got some moist sphagnum moss at the ready. I'm getting this soil all over the place. I'm going to have to make a something to hold this down. And it might be there for a couple of years. I might have to muck this area tonight. You can see that. Get a little more soil on there. Work it in. I'm gonna have to train this tree a little straighter. Not exactly sure how I'm gonna do that. Either with wire or clip and grow. I'm not sure what would work best. There's a few more little doodads I have in mind for this planting. I gotta work them out. Because time's running out. Meaning, I want to get this done already. It's not really sitting firmly on that rock. All right, so let me turn the camera off. I'm going to get some muck in this whole area, and then some sphagnum moss, and then some muck in this area. All right, and then that one's done. I don't like the lean of it, but I'll fix that somehow, some other way. My Chinese elm grove. With a walkway and a couple of rock outcroppings. That's kind of ugly in there. I've got to fill that somehow. Actually, I may need that pathway for wire. I got to pull this down a little bit. I got another way through back in here. Now let me work on that. Everything else looks pretty good. Not bad at all. All right. So I've got some muck here that's been in an open bag for a while. It smells a little funky, but I guess I don't know what muck's supposed to smell like. I've used it before. I don't remember it smelling quite so bad. So this is temporary, but hopefully it'll give these roots something to develop in. I got a wire under there that I'm going to be able to pull this down with, get some contact with the rock. I'm going to put some wet sphagnum on top of this. Maybe I'll even get some roots going in the other direction. Who knows? I have high hopes, but I do not know. Wouldn't that be cool, though? Boy, that wind's really blowing. Curtains billowing. Very dramatic. I don't like to wire my trees in. I belong to that Nigel Saunders camp, but sometimes okay, I hope that has good contact with the rock. It's given it the best chance I possibly can. I'll have to straighten that tree out somehow. I think it's going to be wire. All right, let me spin this around. This is, so far, my Creative Bonsai Landscape Challenge entry. We'll see what happens here. All right. Thanks for keeping me company in my backyard. Okay, here's one more 360 with that tree on the left straightened out. Personally, I think the trees need to be shorter. We're going to have that discussion during the final reveal. Hope you're up for it. So it's straighter in this dimension and straighter in this dimension. All the trees are visible pretty much. Nothing blocks anything. Nigel just had a talk about that, and I guess in this view, this tree blocks the tree behind it, but as soon as you go like that, it's no longer blocked, and the true front is right about there. So I thought about the location of all the trees, and I think it's okay. This is a little bit off the rock. I'll keep trying to press it down. All I want right now is for the trees to live, and I will be doing a few more little doodads, and we'll come back to this tomorrow.